Hi, my name is Carmen Reyes, and my topic to intro to journalism is about media bias. What is media bias? Media bias is a political bias in journalism reporting and programming selection or many other mass medias that involve communication. It's basically how many events and stories are reported and how they are covered based on who is communicating this event and how they perceive it. And an example of this is Fox News is a conservative media bias, but their viewers claim CNN is guilty of liberal media biases. So each one of them have their own opinion on it, which reverts to bias, again, opinions, and it determines the presence or absence of instances of bias is subject to controversy. So there are different types of media biases, and to determine if the story falls into several forms of media biases is the types of biases, which is bias by omission, which it leaves one side out of the story. It is ignoring the facts that tend to disapprove any any liberal or conservative claims. With bias by selection of sources, it includes more sources, one view or the other. So this can also be seen when a reporter uses phrases as experts believe or observers say, and in this and news stories are like expert witnesses in trials as well. With bias by story selection, it is a pattern that highlights the news stories while ignoring the opposite point of view. So basically, this is ignoring studies on the same or similar topics released from the opposing group. So they're just trying to focus on one part of the story rather than the other. With bias by placement, it is the importance of how the editor considers the story patterns, placing news stories in liberal conservative views. So an example of this is like locate a bias by placement is observe where a media outlet places political stories, or whenever you hear a story, it is to see how far it is into each viewpoint first appears. So also with by bias by labeling, it is falling into identify the group label. So there are two kinds, and one of the first kind is tagging of conservative politicians and groups with extreme labels, leaving liberals, politicians, and groups unlabeled or with more mild labels. And the second part is labeling occurs when a reporter not only fails to identify a liberal or conservative, but also describes a person or group with positive labels. So, and also with bias by spin, it is when the story has only one interpretation of an event or policy. So with this, it is to check if it's observed, which interpretates again how I said is in the policy, and many news stories do not reflect a particular spin, and so there are different ways to figure out if the media or not is biased based on how they perceive stories as well. And with the final thoughts of media biases, this is a practical limitation to the media in many countries, which is widely spread. So it is used in many other countries, and there are a number of people who or groups who report this bias in the media and tend to try to like track and locate where this information is coming from and how they are spreading it. So this is the intro to media biases, and